Now let's take a look at some of these holy days in the New Testament. Yes, did you hear that? In the New Testament, Luke 2 and verse 41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. What are we talking about? The feast, feast of Passover. Yeah, that's what it's talking about. Jesus kept the Passover. These holy days are all about Jesus Christ, what he has done and what he will do in the future. Now, you would think people would be concerned. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think our church ought to learn about these holy days. But, I don't know why, but it just, it's too easy to demonize and say, oh, that's not, to label, and oh, that's Jewish, and that's not for us. 1 Corinthians 11 and verse 23 says, for I have received of the Lord that which I also delivered unto you, that the Lord Jesus, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup, and when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Lord's death. Notice that. You do show the Lord's death till he come. Notice that verse doesn't say you show the Lord's resurrection. It says nothing about his showing his resurrection. It says you do show the Lord's death until he returns back to this earth to set up his kingdom on this earth. This is a yearly thing that you do with the Passover. You do show the Lord's death, and the symbols here tells us how to partake of the New Testament Lord's Supper with the symbols of the bread and the wine. But these holy days, what I'm saying is these holy days were abandoned long ago for Christmas and Easter. That's a fact of history. It is a fact of history that you need to study. When I first came into the church, one of the first things I did is I purchased a $1,000 set of Encyclopedia Britannica, because I wanted to know the origins of Christmas and Easter and Halloween and all these things, the Council of Nicaea, the Jerusalem Council. I wanted to study all of this stuff, the Quartodeciman issue, the 14th. I wanted to understand all of this stuff from a historical perspective about how these things were substituted, how Christmas and Easter became the two major holidays and God's holy days were dismissed, because it is a fact of history. But notice the holy days I'm reading about I'm quoting the New Testament here. Acts 20 and verse 6. And we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread, and came into them to Troas in 5 days, where we abode 7 days. Notice that. What is this reference to the days of unleavened bread in the New Testament? It doesn't say after hiding our Easter eggs, we sailed away after Easter. It doesn't say that. It does not say that. A direct reference to the holy days of God, the days of unleavened bread. And we're talking New Testament, folks. Next holy day, 1 Corinthians 16 and verse 8. But I will tarry at Ephesus until Pentecost. Why? Why the references to the annual holy days in the New Testament? Pentecost. I'll tell you why. Because the New Testament church was keeping the annual holy days of God.